Cologne. I skimmed through the carvings yet again, looking for hints.
Reese is looking around, slower than she was before.
She's probably distracted. I found one. Kame really isn't being convoluted this time.
Yes, we've been through this already. Kame is trying normal hints for once. I'll inquire about that later if you really care.
I don't care.
Perfect. I don't either. Now, Reese is slower, distracted.
I found a hint.
I don't. Wait, she really put that there. Huh.
I find the remaining hints and the cakes rather quickly, while Reese is still looking in the same spot.
What will you do?
Reese, you've been searching that horn for a while. I think you would have found it by now if it was there, I say. Reese stops for a moment before standing up a bit too quickly.
And stumbling. Horn?
She asks. The weirdness seems to evaporate and the curiosity that always graces her scent returns.
If you say so.
She's already reaching for her log. The horn, I repeat, gesturing to the horn she was searching.
They're horns?
Reese asks, hitting the record button.
All of them?
Yes, the only structures made by us outside the town are the stone posts with crystals on top, and the other structures made entirely out of crystals. We don't like to disturb the Akus extensively.
Huh.
Reese says.
She stares at the horn as she starts running her fingers over it.
Thankfully more carefully this time.
That was an interesting idea.
It was effective. She's back to normal.
Any fun facts about the horns?
Reese asks. Clusters of these horns are called havens. They grow all across the plain of the Aku, the habitable area of the Aku shell. These clusters are the safest places to stay due to the protection they provided. The two most notable havens on any particular Aku are the one at the center of the Aku and the one closest to the front of the Aku. The one at the center, called the crevice, is where the main settlements were built during the Gift Era. The one closest to the front, the one called the crown, is where the horns are the tallest, densest, and strongest. Reese begins editing the transcript of the notes.
She won't stay distracted forever.
The crown, huh? So you guys had... Oh, I interrupt.
You're honest.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Continue.
You say, knowing she'll insist on hearing what you have to say.
Obviously. No worries. What happened? She asks. I found the cakes, I say, holding them up.
I repeat, she won't stay distracted forever.
I don't need her distracted forever.
I suppose.
Reese. The cakes are pretty good. The cake part is light and fluffy, the icing is nice and creamy, but the sherbet confuses me. I feel like it should be colder than it is. It feels like ice cream, but it doesn't feel cold like ice cream. It's weird. I like the flavor. The cake is cakey, and the sherbet is an odd mix of sweet and salty, with a bit of tartness. So the cake is red because they use this Aku's wheat, and the sherbet is pink because they come from the Aku with the algae at the moment, right? I ask. Yes, Cologne says. The other cake you'll find on Kermapira is the reverse. Pink cake with red sherbet. Huh. So what's your Aku's color combination? Blue and purple. Huh, cool. I take another cake. You have to leave some to prove we actually found them, Cologne says. They were in a box with a blanket, and I only had 3. Cologne chuckles at that. What's the next hint? I ask. The last hint is, may prosperity always be found in a safe haven, Cologne says. A fetus quote. Like Book of Fetus? Their manual and research siphon? The one and only, Cologne says. It's an old quote. Pre-Reformation old, which is a hint in and of itself. A hint in and of itself. Old. Pre-Reformation old. Prosperity, somewhere safe. We've already been to the place where you guys settled before trading started, right? I ask. We've been to the first place the people of Kermapira settled, but it wasn't perfect. The first place wasn't perfect on any Aku. Not perfect isn't always a problem, but you've seen the gashes. It wasn't safe enough for them to prosper. The only place safe enough to prosper before the trade era was where the horns were the densest and the strongest. The crown, I answer, eagerly. Some might say too eagerly. Or the crevice. Exactly. The last item should be at the crown. Kame wouldn't want to freak people out too soon by taking you to the crevice. Let's go. The walk is a bit shorter this time. Really? Cologne points to a towering mass of horns in the distance. A bit shorter, she says with a smile. Yeah, a bit shorter, I agree. Is that an understatement? Are those bones just really close? Or massive? Clone begins walking. Please leave at least one cake, and some room in your stomach to eat a little more. We have one dish left after all. Reese. So, understatement, or were the horns just a lot closer than I thought? Well, they really are big, but the walk wasn't too bad either. I don't think I can quite call it. Welcome to the crown, Clone says once we're a few paces away from the outermost horns. The safest place to settle on an Aku before the reformation of the Book of Fetus. I can see why, I say. The horns are thicker here, closer together. Hey, Clone, you sure we should be looking around in here without Kame? I ask. Seems like it would be really easy to get lost. Don't worry. Here, Clone says, handing me one end of a strand made of crystals. Well, at least I won't get lost alone. You sure you can do this? I don't think she spent much time here. Like I said, don't worry. All the crowns have very similar layouts. You memorize one, you've memorized them all, she insists. Not sure I believe that. Completely. Actually, I'm not sure I even believe that partially. I just don't think I have much of a choice. If you say so, this seems like a bad idea. It will be fine, Clone insists as the strand of crystals lights up, emitting a faint glow. Come on. Okay, still seems like a bad idea. It will be fine, Clone promises before leading me into the crown. I hope so. Reese. It's darker here away from the glow of the crystals. Cooler, but not unpleasant. The horns are covered in shadows, sporadically lit up by pale green crystals to show glimpses of some pretty interesting things. When I hold up the glowing crystal strand to the horns, I can see the full pictures. Pictures that look like murals. There were pictures on some of the other horns, quick little things, like doodles, but the images here are more detailed, far more defined. It seems so peaceful. Maybe that's because I can't find any gashes. There were so many on the outside, but now that we're within the crown, there are none. It's safe for me to run my fingers along the horns to my heart's content. My hand catches something that doesn't feel like the horns. It's difficult to see, but I think it's definitely ice. This must be the edge of the Aku, where the ice dome that surrounds the Aku meets the ground. Or shell? Either way, we're at the edge of the Aku. I run my hands along the ice carefully, searching for gashes or any kind of carving. I don't feel any indents. All I feel are bumps in the ice. They're oddly angular. Are they crystals? I think so. I hold up my end of the crystal strand to the wall. There are crystals embedded in the ice. Interesting. Is it really weird? Everything's covered in crystals here. They seem to be the decoration of choice on Pagos. It's weird that the bones aren't covered in crystals. I don't think I've seen this crystal before. It's shaped like an 8-pointed star. They seem to be scattered about randomly. I found it, Clone says. Great, I say. That's good. I'd forgotten what we were looking for. And admittedly, that we were looking for something. Clone holds up what looks like a bowl full of rectangular cookies. Each one is a different color with a different symbol on it. That's cute, I say. Are we only having dessert today? It's a common meal, Clone says. About 1/10 of the meals a follower eats in their lifetime will be this. 1/10, I say. Can I say I've eaten anything that often in my life? I don't think so. Are they really that good? They're okay. Well, that's underwhelming. If it's only okay, why do you eat it so much? It's symbolic. Every Aku is present in this meal, Clone explains. She picks up one of the blue cookies. Each cookie represents a different Aku, their symbol and their color. She hands me a blue one. This one represents Sheeta. It has 2 circles looping together like a Venn diagram. Do they taste any different? Each Aku came up with their own slightly different recipe, but I can't taste it myself, Clone says. Try it. Tell me what you think. Here is one that represents Kermapira. She passes me a red one with a symbol shaped like an S on it. I try the blue one first. It tastes like a cookie. I try the red one next. It also tastes like a cookie. I try a few more. Orange, purple, and green. Yeah, they taste the same. I agree. Clone nods. They say Sheeta's cookie tastes a bit sweeter, Clone says. I'll let Screon and Kame know we're done. Then we can finish up this part of the ceremony and head back to Sheeta. Well, Scran will probably insist we rest before we head back. Rest. That sounds nice. How does day and night work here? Reese. You did it! Kame cheers with a smile as we exit the crown. She rushes forward to greet us with Screon right behind her. Well done, Screon says, smiling. Thanks. What do you want to do with all this food? You can... Kame starts and stops. You already ate some? Was I not supposed to? You were supposed to wait until the end to eat a bit of all of it, Kame says. Clone, why didn't you stop her? It doesn't matter when she eats it, Clone responds. Screon sighs. I still have to try the bread, I mention, knowing that this conflict is probably inevitable, though entirely avoidable. Then let's do that, Screon says. All right, so the loaf, Kame begins, pulling up the crystal projections. We already went through your notes, Clone says, staring at the crystal in Kame's hand. Did you go through them thoroughly enough? Kame asks, shifting her blubbert in her arms. Of course, Clone says, looking up to meet Kame's eyes. Girls, let's wrap this up, Screon says. Here, Reese, try some of the bread. Okay, I agree. I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't want to fight. And I'm glad Screon might actually be able to prevent it. Clone. Once we're in the room Kame prepared for us, Reese sits down on the bed and begins going through the notes in her log while she eats another one of the cakes. Screon joins her and starts messing with Reese's hair. I pretend to sleep as I go through my crystal combinations again, compiling a list of ingredient combinations that would only take a little while to collect. I should have enough time after this sacrifice, since Screon recently provided a sacrifice as well, right?
Oh, right. You know, eventually you're going to have to sleep at some point. Maybe try to get some sleep before your break?
I will.
Sometime soon?
Soon enough.
You have a list of combinations. Are you going to spend the whole night trying to come up with other possible errors?
The math is correct. That ratio should be correct. Where is the mistake?
Maybe you could figure it out if you weren't sleep deprived.
Reese. What did you think of Kermapira? Screon asks softly as she brushes my hair. Similar to Sheeta and very revealing. It's a cool place, I answer. Very red. Do you mind if I ask you some questions to clarify my notes? I'll be careful not to wake up Clone. Not at all, Screon says as she runs her fingers through my hair.